Thanks for being here. Thanks for being comfortable. It's been stupid cold this week. The worst part about it being cold is usually layer up, right? Like you put like 4 layers on because it's like 2 below. And then you come inside and you take a layer off or 2 because it's warmer in here. And you find out that you sweat because you put 4 layers on. And then you realize that you sweat, so you get nervous and self-conscious, so you sweat more. And then you have to put the thing back on, just go back outside, you sweat one by the end, you have icicles underneath your armpits. It's not an awesome situation, so I'm glad you're comfortable today, I'm glad there's no icicles yet. But it's awesome to be here. I was told I have 15 minutes, and so I'll see if I can keep it under an hour and a half. I'm going to brag on my mom for a little bit. If that's alright, am I allowed to brag on my mom here? Okay, alright. I know a lot of, like 80% of you hate your parents because your birth was 12 instead of 1, or you know, you get the iPhone 4 instead of the iPhone 5, I don't know. But I brag on my mom. Last year, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it's 12 months later. And after 6 months of chemotherapy, after 4 surgeries, after 4 months of radiation, for all intents and purposes, my mom has a clean bill of health. She's a tough chick. She used to be a teacher and nobody liked her. At least that's tough. For Christmas, I want to do something awesome for my mom. I mean, like, and my dad, but I want to do something awesome for my mom. She just beat cancer. And so, for Christmas, I got her a trip to Los Angeles. I flew her and my dad to Los Angeles, got to a hotel, rented a car, and I got her tickets to a couple game shows. Jeopardy, The Tonight Show, and then, of course, The Price is Right. And so, my parents got excited about this. They made shirts that said Michigan loves Drew. It doesn't seem right without Bob Barker, but whatever. So they went, and I picked them up last week from the airport after coming back. In Detroit, they live up in Flint. It was an hour and a half drive. I didn't get a word in. It was all stories about The Price is Right. It was all about how things happen. And so here you have, I don't want to paint this picture. Here you have my mother, who was diagnosed with a disease that 40 years ago, if you were diagnosed with this disease, you were left for dead. When the doctor comes in and says, I'm sorry, you have cancer, that was a death sentence. It's not a death sentence anymore. Because of the incredible research done by organizations, the work done by organizations like Cure Search and Jimmy V, people like my mom had a fighting chance and had the ability a year later to stand up and go, I beat it, right? And she went out to The Price is Right, and the story was, I guess it's a lot of kooks that go to The Price is Right, a lot of people really excited, hopped up on sugar, whatever, and they want to get on TV and jump up and down and lay down that set. And so they stood in line and they met some people, and as they stood in line, my mom met this woman who works in California for this organization, whose main thing is to set up wishes or dreams of people who have terminal diseases under the age of 18. She's basically taken a year of her life and just said, I'm going to go to California, I'm going to work on this, I'm going to try to impact these people's lives while they have these lives. And so they talked for an hour and a half, they had lunch at The Price is Right. Apparently, my parents had Plinko pizza, that's a thing. But they ate there. And they, of course, talked a little bit about the organization that I work with called DRAW, Disaster Relief at Work. And they talked about some of the places that we had gone to help, whether it was Hurricane Sandy or Hurricane Isaac or floods in the Midwest. And so I picked them up. The day after I picked them up, I had 3 emails from people in California who had worked at this organization to try to make dreams come true for other people, who said, hey, we do this, and we think this is great, and we think what you do is great too, what can we do to help? This trip, this little Price is Right trip was like this microcosm of your charity week. It was all the things that people need at the moment that they need them. People were working to make that happen. And my mom did this funny thing. She beat cancer. She had the final surgery December 20th. And she was so moved by the whole experience that she wrote a letter to all of her friends. Something like 100 friends she wrote letters to and sent them out. And she wrote, I looked death in the face. I saw my own mortality. And I don't want to take this life for granted one more day. she took things that she would say to each individual person and say, I want to let you know that I love you. She said something to somebody, I want to let you know that I forgive you. I want to let you know that I'm sorry and ask for your forgiveness. She went through and made things right because she looked death in the face. She didn't blink. And she realized that she only gets one shot at this life. And hopefully, we can all grasp that not just someone who gets diagnosed with cancer, but we all only get one shot at this life. We get one of these, and that's it. And this isn't a YOLO speech. YOLO makes me sick. YOLO, let's be stupid because we only get one life. Ah! That's YOLO. If you understand the gravity of the fact that you only get one life, then you get to make it count. You have to make it count. We have nothing else on this earth other than the fact that our lives can make an impact in the world. And hopefully those ripples will move on and touch people, and the next people, and the next generation. You get one shot at this. And I know it's hard as a teenager because you have incredible pressure. More pressure than anybody who went to school when I was your age. When I was your age. So old. When I was your age, I didn't have to worry about what classes to take to get into what colleges when I was a freshman or a sophomore. We didn't start thinking about college until like the end of our junior year. You guys have that intense pressure. Plus, for some strange reason at this school, you have this intense pressure to figure out the most creative way to ask girls to dances. I don't know why that is, but it's like a pressure. And then, of course, you always have the pressure of fitting in, and the armpit icicles don't help with that. But you get one life. You get one shot to make a difference in this world, to make an impact, to do something that will change someone else's life for the better. You get one shot. That's it. Next week you have Charity Week, and that's awesome. And the 4 charities are amazing. All 4 of them change people's lives in profound ways. And you will do things like the C Factor, which I assume is the X Factor? With the C, okay, all right. I didn't know if there was something, something about the C. You guys will do a dance, I guess, which I may or may not chaperone as long as I'm allowed to do the Cuban shuffle. All right? You will do all these things, and that's awesome, and you will raise money, and I will tell you that the money that you raise next week and the supplies that you have, that you bring in, will have a direct impact on someone who was hit by a natural disaster. The money that you raise for the Jimmy V Foundation will go toward research that will allow somebody who's just been told that you have cancer to have a fighting chance. You'll raise money that allows some child from Michigan who otherwise doesn't have much hope to be able to live their life to the fullest at the moment that they have right there. Your money will change people's lives next week, and that is admirable and it is amazing. But it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Amy told you a little bit about my story. Last 2 years ago, April 2011, there were 63 tornadoes that ripped through Alabama. And it was very much on TV, and you saw the towns, you saw the pictures, you saw the stuff decimated, and you heard the stories. And I remember watching it on TV and thinking, we should do something. But I didn't know what we was, and I didn't know what do something meant. And so I mass texted 100 people, and mass texts are great because a lot of people can ignore you at the same time. But mass texted people, and by the end of the day, we had 16 people said, we're going down to Alabama, we're going to help. We don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to go help. 5 days later, we show up in Alabama. The National Guard has surrounded the town that we're going into. We have to get in before curfew because they don't want looters coming in and taking people's valuables. No power, sun's down, you can't see it. The next morning we get up, we walk into the town, and it looked like Armageddon. There were trees, huge trees, all around the town, and all of them. There was just a giant 1-mile lawnmower that took them all down to 8 feet. Just stubs. And in the stubs there were debris, there were mattresses, there was one tree that had a car up in it. And then you walk through the town, and where there used to be homes, it was just piles of garbage, piles of garbage. There would be one where like one room somehow didn't get hit, so it would be like out of an IKEA catalog, just a bedroom, and then garbage all around it. And it blew your mind because these were people's homes, these were people's lives. And we went and we worked for 3 days trying to help them salvage the things they could salvage, trying to help them clean up, trying to help them get to the next step to recovery. And I came back and I went, there's something here. there's something about what we did that resonated with me that I was like, man, because in the entire scope of the human experience, there's only one time where you go from everyday life to rock bottom, and that's in a natural disaster. Everything else is a slow decline. But at 8:05 in Alabama, everything was great. At 8:08, people were at rock bottom. And to be able to be there at their lowest moment and provide the things that they need at that moment is so rewarding and so invaluable. I can barely put words to it. And it changed my life. And so starting Draw was an entire process that was laborious. I had to hire a law firm, I had to get a board, I had to find a warehouse, I had to come up with an idea of how do we do this, which by the way we do buckets, in case you didn't know that. We have buckets of supplies that we take down. But it was an idea, and it's an idea that in 2012 changed thousands of lives. It was an idea of one person that everyone rallied around and made happen. And this is what I want to say to you guys. Charity Week is the tip of the iceberg. You have power in your hands, in your being, in your soul, that you can't even fathom. That if you got passionate about something, if you got passionate about helping somebody in a legitimate way, there are hundreds of people who would gather around you and help to make it happen. You, as 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, have the opportunity to make a difference in this world that you don't even grasp at. You don't get the power that's in your hands. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I've seen 16-year-olds start orphanages in other countries. I've talked to 15-year-olds who have started organizations that have changed thousands of lives in the United States. I've talked to people who just had an idea, and then they had the audacity, had the gall to talk to somebody else about that idea. And it became something else. And then it became something else. And pretty soon they're in the middle of something, a process, an organization, a community of people that are changing people's lives. The Jimmy V Foundation started with a speech. It started with a speech. The Cure Search thing started because somebody said, let's see if we can get Ryan Kennedy on Twitter trending. Right? Draw happened because on the van on the way back, I thought, I wonder if we can do this all the time to help thousands of people. If you have an idea, if you have a passion, if you have something that you think can change people's lives, don't swallow it. Don't keep it in. I know we live in a world that is cynical. We live in a world that is sarcastic. We live in a world where people take shots at other people just to make themselves feel better. But you can change other people's lives in dramatic and incredible ways. And if you swallow that, then that is infidelity of humanity. You were born, you were put on this earth to make a difference, to do something to change people's lives, and you can do it. You're going to do it next week, but it's the tip of the iceberg. I'm here to talk to you and say, look, thank you so much for supporting Draw. Thanks for collecting sponges and toothbrushes and everything else that you're going to bring in. Thank you. But don't let it end there. You have incredible power in your hands. You have the ability to change the world. Just do it.